The rain fell in heavy sheets, as Maya pressed her face against the cold windowpane of St. Gabriel's orphanage. Beyond the fogged glass, the world seemed endless, filled with possibilities she could only dream about. 12-year girl Maya. She tightened the threadbare shawl around her shoulders and sighed. Maya was 12 years old, one of the oldest children at the orphanage. Over the years, she had seen countless children come and go, finding families to call their own. Yet, she remained behind, not daring to hope for a miracle. The orphanage was an old, creaking building perched at the edge of a small, sleepy town. It housed 30 children, each with a story of loss and abandonment. Despite its somber purpose, the orphanage wasn't devoid of warmth. The matron, Miss Evelyn, was a kind woman with soft grey eyes and a voice like a lullaby. She worked tirelessly to care for the children, though resources were always scarce. That evening, as the storm outside raged, Miss Evelyn gathered the children in the common room. The fire crackled warmly in the hearth, and the scent of her famous potato soup wafted through the air. "Children," she began, her voice steady but tinged with worry, "I have some news. The orphanage will close in 6 months. The town council says they can no longer afford to fund it." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Maya felt her stomach drop. "What will happen to us?" asked Sam, a shy 8-year-old with a mop of curly hair. Miss Evelyn hesitated. "I'll do everything I can to find you homes before then," she promised, though the weight of uncertainty hung in the air. Maya clenched her fists. She had always been a protector to the younger kids, a role she took on instinctively. But now, the thought of them being scattered, of losing the only family they had ever known, filled her with dread. That night, as the other children slept, Maya crept to the attic where her closest friends, Ben and Lily, were waiting. Ben was 13, tall for his age and always full of big ideas. Lily, at 10, was the quietest of the trio, but had a knack for solving problems. "We can't let this happen," Maya said, her voice fierce. "We have to find a way to keep everyone together." "But how?" Ben asked, running a hand through his messy hair. "We're just kids." "There has to be something," Lily whispered. Maybe we could fix the orphanage ourselves." Maya and Ben exchanged doubtful glances. "I mean," Lily continued, "if we can show the town council that the orphanage can be self-sustaining, maybe they'll change their minds." Ben's eyes lit up. "That's not a bad idea. We could start small, fix the garden, repair the roof. Show them we can manage without so much funding." Over the next few weeks, the children began their secret project. During the day, they attended their usual chores and studies, but at night, they plotted and worked. Maya convinced Miss Evelyn to let them take over the neglected garden, promising it would keep the younger children occupied. The garden became their first triumph. Under Lily's guidance, they planted vegetables and herbs, transforming the overgrown patch into a thriving source of food. Ben, with his knack for mechanics, rigged a system to collect rainwater for irrigation. Word of their efforts began to spread through the town. At first, people were skeptical, but as the orphanage started to transform, they couldn't help but take notice. Local businesses donated supplies, and neighbors volunteered their time. Word of their efforts began to spread through the town. At first, people were skeptical, but as the orphanage started to transform, they couldn't help but take notice. Local businesses donated supplies, and neighbors volunteered their time. One afternoon, a man named Mr. Hargrove visited. He was a wealthy philanthropist who owned several properties in town. He had heard of the children's efforts and was curious. "I must admit," he said, walking through the freshly painted halls, "I didn't think much of this place before. But you kids have done something remarkable." "It's not just us," Maya said, standing tall. "It's everyone. We are a family, and we are fighting to keep our home." Mr. Hargrove smiled. I like your spirit. Tell you what, I'll match any funds you raise to help keep the orphanage running. It was the boost they needed. With renewed energy, the children organized fundraisers, from bake sales to talent shows. Maya discovered she had a knack for rallying people, and soon, the whole town seemed to be rooting for them. As the 6-month deadline approached, the orphanage was barely recognizable. The garden was flourishing, the building stood proud, and the children had become a symbol of resilience. Fundraisers, bake sales, talent shows, and car washes, bringing the community together. A jar filling with coins and bills at a bake sale, hands reaching in to contribute. The townsfolk helping repair the orphanage, working alongside the children. Maya walking through the town, handing out flyers for a fundraiser. A lively fundraiser in the orphanage garden, lit with string lights. On the day of the meeting, Maya, Ben, and Lily stood before the council, flanked by Miss Evelyn and several townsfolk. Maya's heart pounded as she began her speech. We know the orphanage has been a burden, she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. But it's also a home. A place where we've learned to hope and dream again. We've shown that we can take care of ourselves, but we need your support to keep going. The council members exchanged glances. One of them, a stern-looking woman, spoke up. It's impressive what you've done, but running an orphanage is no small task. Are you sure you can handle it long-term? We are not alone, Maya replied. The town has rallied behind us. And with Mr. Hargrove's pledge, we have the resources to make this work. After a long deliberation, the council finally gave their verdict. The orphanage will remain open, the chairperson announced. Cheers erupted in the room. Maya felt tears stream down her face as she hugged Ben and Lily. The children rushing back to the orphanage, celebrating their victory. The transformed orphanage in sunlight, vibrant and full of life. Maya tending to the flourishing garden, a smile of contentment on her face. Ben teaching the younger children how to build birdhouses in the yard. Children playing, laughing, and working together, their bond stronger than ever. Miss Evelyn walking through the orphanage, her eyes filled with pride.
A framed photo on a wall showing the children and the community during their fundraising efforts. The children sitting in a circle, sharing their dreams for the future. Maya writing in a journal, her voice narrating her hopes to help others like her one day. The town rallying around the orphanage, a sense of unity and pride in the air. The children waving from the orphanage steps as the camera pans out, capturing the home they built together.